Hi, and welcome to this installment of Frank and Mary here in Northborough. If you haven't seen this show before, my name is Art Bergeron. My day job, I work as an elder law attorney at Myrick O'Connell, next town over in Westborough. But this is not about my day job. It's about my friends Frank and Mary. If you've seen presentations, the seminar presentations that I've done in Northborough and in other communities, I always talk about Frank and Mary and their kids, Peter, Paul, and Mary Jr. Frank and Mary's goal is to live in their house until they die, be buried in the backyard. If you're in Northborough, that means you want to stay here. You don't want to move to Marlborough, where I live. You don't want to move to any of these faraway places, Los Angeles, where your kids are. You want to be in Northborough. So the point of this show is to figure out who the people are that you need to know and what the programs are you need to know about in order to stay right here in Northborough. And Liz Tretiak, who has been the wonderful senior center director, who probably many of you have never actually seen. She may actually be totally virtual and made up, but actually, no, she's honestly really there at the senior center a lot. And you'll be able to see her soon as we all get our vaccine pretty soon. So she ends up finding these great folks to come on to the show and talk to us about any number of issues that we think are maybe of interest to you and to Frank and Mary. And so, Liz, whom do you have today?
Hi, Arthur. I have with us today Jim Priest, who's the Community Relations Director at Whitney Place, Assisted Living and Memory Care. So, Jim, welcome. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Liz. Happy to be here.
Thanks.
And I actually know Jim as part of my day job, right? This is
right.
and can vouch for the wonderfulness of the quality of Beaumont and with the Whitney Place, the system, in terms of helping a whole lot of people in a whole lot of places. And my co-host in Marlborough, Trish Pope, who's your colleague, right?
Yep.
Was at Beaumont for quite a while, working before she started her job as the senior center director. So,
yeah, she was my predecessor, Arthur, and she the joke is always that they took a downgrade. They went from Trish Pope to Jim Priest. So.
That's tough.
That's clever.
Oh yeah, although she is a gem. She remains a gem.
So, Jim, tell us, what is it like being in your position in this wild pandemic world we have right now? I'm sure it's totally different than anything you've ever experienced.
It really is, actually, yes. Every day is actually different, which everyone wants in their job, but not quite different like this. But it's funny. I give tours still. We're able to give tours, and I find myself saying, well, in non-pandemic times, this is what we do. But we've gotten very creative in how we can keep our residents engaged and how we can keep our family members informed. We've gotten so savvy these days with virtual tours and virtual visits. Even our residents have come to expect it now, which is interesting, because that's the last thing they used to want to do, was do anything that had to do with the computer. But it's very we do a lot of small groups, which that's our mandate. We can only have a certain number of people in our groups, and they have to be a certain number of feet apart, and things change. If we do have a positive case, either staff or residents, then things change up. So we try to just keep on top of it.
So Jim, can I just ask, you were just referring to the computer-based stuff.
Yep.
I'm just curious, does part of what you do involve actually teaching any of these, the folks that you come there, how to use some of that stuff? Because I bet a lot of folks coming in have studiously avoided, as I did, and I'm honest. Yes. I mean, how many Zoom things did you ever do, before 9 months ago, right? And now it's just like, it's just part of what you do,
It is.
Second nature.
It's
Yeah.
like you just do it. So I'm just curious. Have you found yourselves really need to kind of train your folks to be dealing with stuff like that?
Well, most of the residents, no. There are a few that are savvy and have always been, but just like the general population, there are people that are drawn to that and some that are not. Luckily, we have some very savvy recreation folks. So, and our company's been very supportive with, with tablets, and we have tablets on little carts that we take around, the little stands on wheels. We
Oh,
learned a lot from the first go around. Resident family members will call in, um, and we'll set them up, and we'll wheel it to the resident, and they just have a nice little chat like we're doing right now. So it's really worked out well. And the other thing that's worked out well is um, we have an in-house television station now, so we can post things. We could record what we're doing right now, and we could put it
you're
up
not
on.
competing with the Frank and Mary show, are you? You got your own.
Well,
This is
we could
terrible.
never do
That
that.
must be why our ratings are getting killed here, Liz.
It's only in-house, so you're
Uh,
safe.
Oh my goodness. No, Jim, are family members allowed to come into the buildings?
Yes, right now they are. We did all through the summer, and actually little pop-up sessions this fall because we did have some nice weather. We have a tent out back set up for family meetings, family visits. But when the weather got bad, then we had to move it inside, and DPH has allowed us to do that now. So, but as you can imagine, there are regulations there too. They have to be escorted up. They have to have the masks on the whole time, as does the resident. They have to be a certain kind of mask. They get temped, and they have to fill out a form every time they come. Um, it's still a very serious process. We can't let our guard down. None of us can.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so knock on wood, so far we've been absolutely outrageously fortunate. So, and we're happy about that. But keeping family and their loved one together is very important for us. We have another one today, this afternoon. We do town meeting Zooms where family members call in and they talk to myself, they talk to our executive director and our resident care director. And some of them asked, "Hey, next time can some of the staff be on the call?" Because they get really close to the staff as well. As you can imagine, these are the people that take care of their loved ones, so they get real close. So, and we
I
miss
love
them.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we miss our families.
yeah. They become your family. You see them
They
so
do.
often, I'm sure.
They
I'm
Well,
do.
sure.
once again, one of the interesting things about Zoom is that it had those who have folks who are living there and who are far away. Suddenly, you get to see as much as the daughter that lived in Westboro, and is
Yeah,
Mhm.
now going over. And suddenly, but you're in San Francisco, so
right.
so
Yeah,
to some extent, I mean, that part's been really amazing. How people
yeah.
are connecting that way. Now,
Right.
by the way, just going back to something you said, so at this point under your current DPH regs, if a family member or friend comes in, can they actually go to the room, except that you've got a certain regimen and certainly in terms of masks and stuff, or do they need to
Right.
only meet people in like common areas?
They meet actually in their apartments.
Oh, that's
And so they can only go straight to the apartment, and then they're escorted there and they're escorted away.
right.
So at the beginning, we had to monitor all the visits, and there goes the privacy.
Mhm.
You can't have an intimate conversation with your loved one. So this is much better. Um, but we really make it a point, don't touch anything on the way to and from the apartment. Keep your distance from your mom or dad, and wear a mask. So
Right.
And
people
and so
people just tend to really struggle, Arthur, actually, without that contact. So we found that it's extremely important. You got to weigh
Mhm.
the weigh the options for them.
Yeah.
And this is really an interesting conversation, because you got a lot, we got a lot of I got a lot of folks, or I've got a lot. Well, I guess then, if you don't mind my asking, Liz, I'm curious about this. So I've got a lot of folks who, of course, are very hesitant, about moving to assisted living, because in the early days there were the lockdowns and stuff, and people who were nervous about leaving their house anyway. Frank and Mary, who were totally not wanting to leave their house, but you're getting older and maybe somebody fell, and they wanted to be more careful, but they've been putting it off. So I guess from your perspective, have you seen more interest at in Whitney Place, or in your assisted living part of your community over the last few months, as things have kind of felt more comfortable, or are people still really kind of nervous about making this kind of move? I'm just curious.
We have seen people, actually, it was very slow for a month, I would say, as we all tried to figure things out. And now it is starting to pick up again. I think what we're seeing is most of the time people coming in are taking advantage of our memory care program. It's called Tapestry. And we have 2 neighborhoods of memory care folks, in addition to our traditional memory care. Our traditional assisted living.
Yeah.
So those tend to be the people right now that need the most help. The other people are just sitting back and waiting, I would say.
Yeah.
And I would suppose the memory care folks, especially, because they'd be having trouble if they're at home having anybody come to the house.
Right.
So for them, it might actually be a real improvement from the family situation. Thanks.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to interrupt, Liz.
Oh, I was just going to say, we have seen that some of the home care agencies in the area are having difficulty finding enough workers to fill the home care cases.
Right.
And people are waiting a little bit longer to get the cleaning that they need, per se. And this is an interesting anecdote that's related to this. I was in a phone call or a Zoom meeting with Chief Parente, who's our fire chief here in Northborough, last week. And he mentioned that the calls to the fire department have gone down, like normal calls for chest pains and falls, things like that. And he wanted me to urge seniors in town, don't be afraid to call for help or call the paramedics. Cases are rising here in town, but don't let that delay you from getting help. Still reach out, still call. And I wonder if that's the same. People see the cases rising and they might be hesitant to take action or take the step to going to an assisted living or putting mom in memory care. What do you think? Do you think it's based on the rising numbers lately?
Well, I think for what I see anyway, I think people are tending to I know personally, I go to work and I go home. I don't even go in stores. So people have their routines now. What we worry about is a big wave coming, because people are going to be struggling when you are home alone. And you don't have that social interaction, that stimulation. That's when, as we all know, that's when dementia can kind of take hold. And then it becomes like a wildfire. So we want to, we do want to get people while they're still active and still engaged and still have that cognition intact, so they can enjoy life a little longer.
So could you speak a little to that, about in terms of what the nature of the programs are that you're able to offer right now? Because obviously, as you said, things have really changed. I love the thing with the little cart with the tablet, so you can wheel your daughter Susie around to right into your room. Here I am, Mom. Right? That's a great idea.
Those have been awesome, because we can wheel it around to a different part of the room, even. Oh, what do you think? Should I hang this picture here? And show me a room. It's more than just a conversation. It's great. So that's worked out when people, especially if we do have people confined to their apartments. Right now, they are able to come down to the dining room. We can only have a certain number, so in the dining room at a time, because they have to be socially distanced. So there are multiple seatings. As far as actual activities go, we still do exercise. Even when they're in their apartments, we either do the exercise through our channel, our in-house channel, or we do room-to-room exercise. But we still have crafts. We still have, I actually do a social once a month. It's called Jim's Night In, and we have an absolute blast. Uh, but we have our wine and cheese and crackers and do that. But we still have those conversations. We still do, our entertainers aren't able to come in-house, but we can have them on the channel, which is great. And we have theme movie nights. I have to say that the number one thing that's come out of all this is the creativity of our recreation department. It has blown us away. So I couldn't be happier about that.
That sounds like so much fun.
It
Wine
is
and
a
cheese.
lot of.
So when you say you have an in-house channel, I was assuming that meant you were doing Zoom to everybody. Are you actually?
No.
You've actually got an in-house channel, as in like people can click on you like their little clicker on TV?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
wow.
here it's channel 3. So I could go on and do a show, or most of the time we do like YouTube shows and videos. We do a lot of that. Um, we'll take requests. We're able to show old shows that they haven't seen in a long time, like Gunsmoke or something like that. And documentaries. There's been a big call for documentaries, so that's awesome. Right now we're gearing up for the holidays, so a lot of holiday shows. So,
So
oh
see,
yeah,
you really could start your own variety show. You could actually be. It's like for people like me, you remember like Dinah Shore, and some,
yes,
you know,
yep, yeah,
the Chevy Hour,
yeah.
Great. That's
Well,
great.
yeah, we talked about putting everyone used to have a special, a Christmas special. So we're
Right.
thinking about doing like a movie-thon or whatever we would call it, but it would be like the Christmas special, like Sonny and Cher's Christmas special or something. Uh, but that's the kind of show. I mean, how awesome would that be? So that's the kind of creativity that's coming out of our rec department, and I love it. I love it. We did. We can even do crafts, but we have to be able to do it. We have to be able to space them out. So we bought individual little tables that now we can put them around any room, and they can be socially distanced and have their own little table to do crafts. So it's that kind of stuff that you never thought you'd have to do, but the pandemic is changing a lot of things, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
For the people who are watching, doesn't that sound like more fun than just being at home? I mean, really,
I I was just gonna say, Jim, like you sound like you're having, despite the circumstances, so much fun over there, and you can tell that you really love your job and you're
Oh my
invested in it.
God, yeah.
And I'm sure any family member who's thinking about putting their loved one or helping facilitate the move to Whitney Place is just so relieved and happy to see that the staff is so engaged.
Yeah, I mean, it is a relief to folks, I think, to think that, all right, assisted living is not a nursing home. Assisted living is a place to go. You have your own apartment, you have your own bathroom, this is your space, your little private Idaho. But then you walk out that door and you have people right outside that can either help you or have fun with you. We just recently decorated. Every year we've been doing this for about 5 years. Ever since I took over this role, I've been wanting to do this. And maybe it was about 5 years ago, we started putting white lights on all the little trees all around the building.
Mhm.
So everyone both in their apartments in Whitney Place and in their rooms in our Beaumont next door can look out their window and see some white lights.
They have a Christmas.
And if somebody's having a bad evening or whatever, I just take them over to the lights, and it's glorious. It's awesome. So if anybody wants to come up and drive around our parking lot and see our lights, go on.
Yeah, this is going to be like the old St. Francis de Sales or whatever. You go to Attleboro and you kind of do a little tour around.
Yeah.
See the lights.
It's not quite that overwhelming, though.
And it's got to be for you folks too, though. It's got to be such a relief when you read about some of the vaccine stuff and you say to yourself, "Oh my God, it's going to be over."
Right.
And for so much of it, you just keep talking to people and you say, for people who are talking around Thanksgiving, saying, just don't be stupid right now, because it's almost over.
Right.
How bad would it be that grandma died just before the vaccine came out? Well, you just because it was so close now,
Yeah. That's, I have to say, we just had a meeting this morning to see how many of our folks are actually going out for Thanksgiving, and everyone is staying in. For the first time since I've been here, everyone is staying in, and we can't make them stay in, but we can make it so wonderful here that they don't want to leave. They want to stay. They'll go to their daughter's next Sunday or whatever, but they want to stay for Thanksgiving. So
now, Jim, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, one of my jobs is to kind of provide comic relief, but also keep track of the time. And we have a few minutes left. Before we end, though, Liz, I just wanted to go to you and basically say, so from your perspective over the next couple of weeks, right? It's Thanksgiving. There's a few more weeks. And what we try to do is keep people in touch with what's going on at the senior center. Kind of what's happening. Is there anything of particular note that people should be interested in, concerned about? Any particular comments during this?
Yeah, we have a ton of programs coming up. Our December newsletter is coming out within a couple days. We have a lot of fun activities to do, but we also have some nice community service type programs too, where we're doing sand for seniors with the Rotary Club, delivering ice melt product to people's homes. We're doing a pen pal program with the high school. We have a friendly voices program for anyone at home who might feel isolated and lonely during this time. We can set up a social call with you. Tons of presentations. We have about 22 classes in some sort of virtual format, either Zoom, cable, telephone conference calls. There's something for everyone. So please just give us a call, check out our newsletter, see us online. We have a brand new Facebook page, and just reach out. Just reach out. We have so much going on.
So Liz, to close, can you just once again just remind people of your phone number, and maybe we can ask Jim to remind people of his, right? So that if you want to be at home and you really want to feel close, the senior centers can do it for you, right? And if you're thinking, maybe home, it's time to rethink home, for whatever reason, Jim can help you out. He's he's like Liz, he's a really friendly guy. You've really managed to do that so that, it's like you're Frank and Mary, but you're not moving far, I mean, you're really, really not moving far. So Liz, what's the best number to call you, and then Jim?
Call us here at the Senior Center at 508-393-5035.
Jim. And you can call me at Whitney Place, Assisted Living and Memory Care, just off Main Street, 508-393-5655.
Liz, isn't it great to see another person like you who just really loves what he does? Like, she just totally loves it.
I love it.
It's just great. So
Yep.
Jim, thanks a million for being on the show. Liz, thanks a million for getting Jim to do this,
Well, thank you, Arthur.
But, I think we should try to get onto his cable channel. I think we should try to get an invitation to his cable channel.
I think this is our little step in.
This could be it. Could be a step up. So folks, we hope you enjoyed this. Call Liz, call the senior center. There's a million things going on. if you're thinking at some point, you know, it doesn't have to be, if you're thinking at some point that you may have an interest in assisted living because you just don't want to face the snow anymore, this is a good time to think about this. Call Jim. Just look at this place. It is a great way to stay in Northborough, to stay home by literally moving down the street. So thank you very much, Jim. Thank you very much, Liz. Happy Thanksgiving to both of you. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. We're filming this just before Thanksgiving, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the next installment of Frank and Mary here in Northborough. Bye.